Hello, and thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I'm in my bedroom. This is my most Taurian purchase investment that I've ever had. I'm creating for us today the Taurus season video that we're basically going to be doing a pick a card. The pick a card's kind of like the main part of this video, but I do like to take a couple minutes to just chat about, Taurus energy in general, the time frame of Taurus season, the full moon and the new moon during this time, because I know as someone I like to write this down in my calendar and just like be aware of when the full moon and new moon are. So, I'm going to share that with you. Not like you couldn't Google it yourself, but I think it's worth talking about. And we'll touch a little bit about, I don't want to say what we can expect through Taurus season necessarily, because I think expectation is kind of not always the most beneficial for us, but more so reflect on from a more intuitive approach, because I'm not an astrologer here, but a more intuitive approach, pairing with the cards here as well. Perhaps, we might be served to focus on, or what we might be served to empower in our lives, or shine a light on, give more attention to. What we might be served as some kind of inspiration or encouragement along our paths as well. So I hope that this reading is beneficial for you, of course. Happy birthday to my Taurian homies. I love Taurus energy so much. I know I say it for every sign because I genuinely do, but my brother is Taurus. I have great friends who are Taurus. I'm a midheaven Taurus. And if you're curious about any of this stuff, I would encourage you during the season. Let me back up and say, again, right, I'm not an astrologer here. And my approach to studying astrology is being inspired by what's going on perhaps in the season or perhaps in my life, or sometimes things just kind of come out of the woodwork or kind of get brought to your attention, like learning about your North Node or learning about your Midheaven or Chiron or whatever, like these kind of like other things that happen beyond our sun, moon, rising and stuff like that. But I think it can be helpful to use the season as inspiration and check out, like, where does Taurus fall in your natal chart? Where does Venus fall in your natal chart? And see, like, are there any lessons here that, or not even lessons, but is anything that you learn of that or can research, does it validate anything that you're experiencing or have experienced? Does it empower you, not only just with that validation, but giving you tools perhaps that you can work with, even if that tool is simply the awareness of what you experience, or how you handle something, or things related to, let's say, your second house or things of that nature. Again, like second house, perhaps, like what's going on there. And what I'm trying to say here, I guess, is that the astrology chart is just so overwhelming for us noobs, So it can be nice to kind of be able to focus and then actually understand, or start to at least, crack the surface of the egg here and start to understand what these more intricacies of the chart potentially could mean, right? So just a little suggestion there, right? Taurus season runs from 420, of course, right, to 520. So 420, April 20th to May 20th. What a season this usually is. A lot of people find a lot of comfort in this season. This is one about experiencing the senses, really connecting with the body, connecting with taste and aromas, and like treating your body very well, or treating what surrounds in your more immediate, I'm saying more immediate, but don't let me limit you here. The way I connect with it is like more of your immediate surroundings, your friends, of course, and your close relationships, but more so like your bedroom, or your kitchen, or your little cozy nook where you like to sip your coffee and, read a book or stare out the window, or your balcony where you're so blessed to be able to feed squirrels every day and, catalog the lizards. But basically, it's just about really, for me anyway, connecting with the senses of the experience, finding that gratitude, finding that kind of like hope or faith or dawn or spring sort of energy, that rebirth, that appreciation of the experience, and really like allowing it to like wash over you, like as you drink your water and you're like, oh my God, I love my cup. Thank you for this water. I'm so grateful to be, hydrating myself right now. I know my cells love it. I know it helps my organs function better. Oh my God, I love my organs. Look at like like, I don't know, maybe I'm being a little overboard here, but those are really the things that I find myself focused on during this time. Being able to, like, do your hair once in a while, or, I'm not trying to make it superficial, but doing the things that make you feel like you're enjoying the experience, right? Because it's really what it's about here. Okay, so we have a full moon in Scorpio on April 26th. And again, for all of these dates, please do check your time zone, of course. There's a whole spectrum, a whole equator here, right, of time and space that we're all working in between. So I hope that these dates are good enough for you or you get an idea, but please do check your time zones, of course. But we have the full moon on the 24th of April in Scorpio. So, of course, for me anyway, and I'm not trying to tell you how to work with the moon, but I really like to connect with the moon in the full state as, this abundance of power, this illumination, this kind of sending, or, I almost picture in Legend, the movie Legend with like Tom Cruise, when he was like a little thing. There was a scene at the end where they're like, I don't think I'm ruining it. I mean, it's an old movie, but they're using mirrors to like guide the light through the castle. And I really can think about the full moon that way almost, right? Like it's this abundant power. Now I am receiving this. I am under this. I am experiencing this. Where do I choose to direct it, right? Am I directing it into myself to illuminate something? Am I directing this to manifest in some sense? Or whatever the case may be for you. But for me, it's about kind of like having this abundance of energy or power, and directing it in some way. That's how I like to work with it anyway. Some people like to clear on the new moon, right? Oh, excuse me, the full moon. So each their own, but because I'm the one talking to you, let's consider, right, the Scorpio full moon, and Scorpio being this very, I want to say chaotic, like stirs things up sort of energy that we can work with, something to work with our shadow, something to integrate our shadow, something to, connect perhaps on a more sexual level, of course. Taurus season being very much about the senses, Scorpio energy being very sensual, right, or like sexual, like it can be like known to be. Or what we want to transform in our lives, or add some kind of like shake things up a little bit, right? Of course, there's so many other ways that you might feel called to utilize that energy or direct it, but those are just the general themes that I usually plan to work with for this full moon. And then we have the new moon in Taurus on May 11th, and the new moon, again, for me, for how I work with it, but you can work with it anyway, or not work with it, you're right. But I really like this for planting seeds. So seeds of luxury, right? Seeds of comfort, seeds of stability, seeds of, kind of, excuse me there, methodical planning, methodical steps, seeds for, your pleasure, your joy, your experience, reawakening your senses potentially, reminding you that, hey, like you can fall in love, or you can have like really deep, beautiful feelings, or, you're, hey, like, did you know you taste things, and like savoring things more in your life is such a empowering thing for us to do for ourselves. It puts us in such a beautiful frequency and vibration for receiving more of what that experience is like, more things to savor, we could say, or more things to enjoy, to kind of simplify it here a little bit. So perhaps you would plan to plant seeds that center around things like that, or again, however you see fit. Taurus is a great season to work with money, fertility, abundance. This is the zodiac card, the tarot card related to the Empress, right? And just this like this just abundant luxury, relaxing, like this chase lounge outside in the garden with your gorgeous dress and like the bowl of fruit next to you and like all this awesome stuff. So really fun stuff to connect with. I've kind of already touched on the themes here, but just because maybe you don't have a lot of Taurus heavy in your chart, you're still going to be under the same sun that the rest of us are, and the sun is going to be near Taurus, shining that light down, shining the rays that will have an effect on the experience here, just like just like the weather does, right? Or something like that, perhaps. Perhaps. So, what we can experience here potentially is the craving of stability, or how can I create stability, the appreciation of things, of comfort, of luxury, of, the bed that you invested in, or whatever it might be for you. There's also a little bit of a stubborn energy here, a little bit slow moving. So the sign really helps us, or the season, helps us to connect with patience, to connect with methodical, to connect with divine timing, and the gestation essentially of all things that manifest. Because something that you want now is that you've just decided you want today, perhaps you aren't ready for now. So it's nice to honor the process of everything, and the fertile soil, so to speak, that things need to grow in the gestation, and then the birth, and then the learning to walk or communicate, or whatever the case may be. So it's just nice to focus on these themes in general. But let's move on to our pick a card opportunity here. Before we do, I'd love for you to please just, again, only if you choose to participate, but am I in focus? I think so. Take a moment to catch your breath, to center yourself. Perhaps it means kind of aligning your spine. Perhaps it means focusing on your breath for a few breaths. But just kind of set an intention to allow your subconscious mind to let you know which of these would be most supportive for you, or most effectively supportive for you, we could say. And I'm going to use my little rope incense here. This is agar wood. I think I'm mispronouncing that. And I'm just going to light it on a candle that I already have burning. This is a test candle of mine. You can see that melt pool is a bit too much, but you know what? It's still working. It's still fine. And I crafted this with the Taurus season, in the time that I was making the Taurus season batch and testing different things to make sure that those candles burned well, or at least better, better. So we have some Taurus candle energy here as well. I'm just going to set that down, and set this down here safely. And I have these cute little hands. And we're just going to kind of, I know this isn't an ASMR video, but just breathe, allow, receive, clear off the projections, clear off the outside influence, clear off your own expectations, right? Allow something perhaps that you didn't expect to maybe, communicate to you during this time. Aren't these cute? All right, and I'm just going to let that burn over here and let you select. So our first opportunity here for a reading is from this stone, or it's not really from the stone, the corresponding stone here is a beautiful topaz. How gorgeous. Topaz associated with Venus associated with Taurus. So see how you feel, see how this one talks to you. Our second card, our second option here is a moss agate. And this is more of a generator. Beautiful. And our third and final option is this stunning Chrysoprase. I love this piece. I love it, I love it, I love it. Hard to choose, I'm sure. Alright, so number 3, Chrysoprase. Number 2, this moss agate generator. And number 1, this gorgeous topaz. They're all gorgeous, but what? Gorgeous. All right, take a moment to select. Take a pause if you need to, and we will move on to our reading here. Okay, so we do have 2 oracle cards that we're going to begin with. Your first message is let go, right? So it seems like you've been kind of bouncing off the walls a little bit, like perhaps having this pressure or this thing or this thought or this pattern or this belief or this focus that's not really supporting you at this time, or, who knows, right? Everyone's different here. This is a general reading, of course, but it hasn't really been supporting you. It's almost like being in a room or being in your house for so long and like you never open the windows, so like you never get that fresh air. It's time to take a walk, open those windows, put on the fans, open the windows, do whatever you need to do, but set an intention basically to work with moving out of the frequency that you're in, moving out of from under the whatever you've taken on or whatever you're kind of carrying, shouldering in a sense as some kind of burden. It's time to let it go. And you can see there's a shape of a scribe here around the image. And this would be a suggestion, to journal, to write. I was just talking to my friend who was going through some stuff, and I was like, I hope you're journaling. And I also wanted to share with them because I am a little secretive. Like, I am a secretive person. I don't like the idea of someone stumbling across, my journal, or, I live alone, right? So like nobody's going to, but I just don't like the idea sometimes of like pouring my heart out onto a piece of paper, especially one that like I'm not going to tear out and burn or something like that. It depends on the situation. It depends. But there's some things that I feel a discomfort with in terms of like writing it down, almost like I don't want to admit it, but I do want to admit it. It's complicated, of course. What isn't? But I would encourage you, there's other ways that you can write. You can write in symbols. You can write in like little drawings. Sometimes I write in just, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I got a little like dusty feeling. But sometimes you can write in just using the first letter of each word and just like let it out. But like what comes out on the page isn't necessarily something that's legible, something you're going to reread and like bring yourself back to. So let go, and there's something here about a sort of secrecy or a sort of protecting that, or understanding that like I'm experiencing this now. I'm experiencing what I'm going through now. I'm feeling this pressure. I'm frustrated with these people perhaps, or this circumstance, or I don't know how to communicate this to my partner right now, but I know this is how I'm feeling and I just want to let it out, like that kind of stuff. There's something in this energy of knowing and realizing it doesn't have to be words. There doesn't have to be this huge vulnerability that you might be feeling when it comes to writing things like paper to ink, sort of pen to ink kind of situation. So take that as you will. And then your next card, of course, is pause. Oh my gosh, it's getting so dark. Let me see. Can I open this up even anymore? I might not be able to. One? Okay, I'll take it. So here we have pause, taking a moment for yourself, stopping the momentum that you have of this like bouncing off the walls and choosing to walk out the door to get that fresh air or to release in some way, like taking that pause, taking that breath, that space between the breath, that moment between the breath, we could say, and shifting yourself. So you need to kind of take what resonates. I don't want to say you need, but it seems like what's coming up is you need to kind of pump the brakes on the momentum of the festering, of the weight, of the crushing, of the cycle of thought, and really take a moment of silence, so to speak, and shift so you can exit or you can get that fresh air, change the subject, change your frequency, really is what's coming up here. Okay? And reflect. So now we're going to be pulling a few tarot cards here, and I have one from the Angela Mary Magic deck. I should say this is the Trust Your Vibes deck and the Fuzzy Prism Oracle deck. Here is the Angela Mary Magic Moon Babies deck. And your card for this theme is the Nine of Caves, which is the Nine of Pentacles. And the word here is prosperity. So whether you're focused on your prosperity very much at this time or you're just feeling very prosperous, there's so much to focus on. And especially if you're looking to manifest more wealth, more money, like things like that, more opportunities to be generous into your life, it's going to be very beneficial for you to acknowledge all the prosperity that you have in your life already. And I know that can be that can sound like that's coming from a place of privilege, like, oh yeah, like your fancy bed, like, no, aren't you happy you have this fancy bed? Like, some people have a mattress on the floor, right? Like, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but what I mean by focusing on all the prosperity you have in your life, I just actually made a video about this, like, so it's the last one. It probably won't be by now, but if you just go back a little bit, it's the all green one. And it's about focusing on like all of the richness in your life that you have right now, like the joy of watching the sun rise, right? Or the joy of listening to the rain at night, or how appreciative you are of the water that you're able to consume. Like there's so much abundance. Nature, especially with the, let go card, nature is a way where you can find this abundance and connect with it more authentically, perhaps if you're not actually experiencing it in your life in that moment, or you're struggling, perhaps it's wobbly to connect in, like what's in your immediate like life. You're like, my bank account isn't really that prosperous, COVID happened and now I'm like, I understand, like, I'm not trying to, you know, uh, you know, how can I say that? I'm not trying to disvalidate or unvalidate that reality that we all deal with, but more so just remember that there's always something that we can beneficially kind of bypass to or connect with from more archetypal or elemental concepts that will feel very true and still will impact your vibration. So the thing here is to just focus on your prosperity. But if it's about your bank account, like, don't focus on that. Focus on the sun, or how many lizards can you count in a day if you live in Florida, or whatever the case may be, right? Like that kind of stuff. Okay, so moving over to your little 3 tarot card reading, I'm using here the Mystic Mondays deck. And the first card we have is the Knight of Cups. And knights for me usually are like other people, like someone coming to you, someone inspiring you, someone showing you some sort of like protection or listening, some type of sympathetic ear potentially. So there's someone in your life that's going to be a very powerful part for you right now. This could be someone you know already. It could be someone new. It's not necessarily going to be the same for all of us, right? But there's something to bring a lot of gratitude for here, I think, in terms of the fact that, people are willing to listen, or, this could be online. This doesn't even have to be like a physical kind of connection in a sense, right? Who says like how relationships are? Who are we to judge like what relationships are valid or real? Online relationships are some of my best relationships sometimes, right? So, there's always that. So don't judge yourself if you're like, wow, I live out in the middle of nowhere and I don't work. I don't work out of the house. There's no one here, like that kind of stuff. Think about the connections you make online as well, or in social media, or even connections that you make that are, not, how can I say this? Not true connections, as in the person doesn't know about you, but you can listen to them, or you can feel some type of activation or comfort, support. This is cups after all. Love, feelings, spiritual stuff. There's some type of relationship, some type of message, some type of connection of sorts, right? Some strange connection that you can experience. And, this is a knight. It could be of a more masculine nature. It certainly doesn't have to be. And our next card for you is the Ace of Pentacles. So it feels like this message, or this recognition, or this conversation, or whatever this shows up as for you, it's going to be like, it's going to somehow, why is it so dark? Let me turn on one more light. Sorry, I had to turn on at least one more little light here, but it's not super bright, so we'll see how we do. But it's going to feel like someone gave you a new lease on an experience, or not even someone gave it to you, because I don't want it to sound like it comes from outside of you. That's not what I mean necessarily. But there's going to be some recognition that you pick up on, you become aware of a gift in your life that is tangible. It is about money, or it is about touch, or it is something you can actually experience, and it's not necessarily over the web, let's say. And this gift is, can be something you use to invest. It could be part that you put down to plant the seed for the foundation to grow. There's so many ways that this can, kind of unfold in your life or show up, of course. But I'm just gonna, carry over to our next card, which is one of my favorite cards in this deck, the Lovers. And I love it because of the flamingos. Sidebar, I saw a flamingo flying once, and I thought there was like a man in the sky flying. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was like legs behind it. So cool. So freaking cool. So, I don't want to push things on you, but it really looks like you've got something quite sweet happening here. A message, a wake up, a sympathetic ear, a empowering ear, or an empowering message of some kind that you received, or a gift or something like that. It's the Ace of Pentacles here, like you can create anything with that. And it sounds like, it's a relationship, or it's the finding of love within yourself, or it's the thrill of like compatibility, or the thrill of being understood, or the thrill of someone like going through what you've been through before, or seeing things the way you see them, or I don't know, like things of that nature. This very like harmonious kind of mirrored experience that you're going to have with someone who might be the knight, but the knight might be the liaison between these things, right? Or it might be the reminder of like, hey, like you can have feelings. Like, I'm here for this message that you can have some pretty significant feelings. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to manifest it? And then potentially, just really good love vibes. What could be better with Taurus season here? All right. So, congrats. And that was pile 1, and we'll move on to pile 2. So y'all chose the, oh my gosh, the moss agate here. This is from Monk and Moon. If you're wondering about the topaz, I actually got this at a little shop in Boulder with my friend. Okay, so your cards, and let me tell you, this is the Trust Your Vibes deck. This is the Fuzzy Prism Oracle deck. This is the Moon Babies deck from Angela Mary Magic. And this is the Mystic Mondays deck, okay? And I'm sorry I'm not showing you the cards. Like, let me be a lazy Taurus energy. So your first oracle card is a message, learn. How beautiful. This is an opportunity for you to potentially develop some kind of skill, connect with a teacher, learn more about yourself. This does feel more skill-based, whether that's cooking, whether that's website design, whether that's how to knit, how to macrame, how to make jewelry, right? Like there's so many there's so many things we can learn about. Learning about mental health, learning about our own mental well-being and stuff like that, right? But you're called here potentially through the season, if this resonates with you, to learn, to study, to apply your mental forces, your consciousness to the acquisition, is that right? The acquiring of more knowledge, right? More knowledge from this life experience. This isn't necessarily a message of like that higher learning of like, whoa, I had this activation in my dream, or oh, like this is about books, or like actual practice, right? The experience. And your other oracle card here is about balance. So as you're called to learn, please don't put, I keep saying this month, but please don't put the cart before the horse. Don't go out with this, like, I'm going to learn this, and then like kind of force yourself into like mastering it right away kind of thing, right? Find the balance of the experience, find the pleasure of the like how things unfold and the process essentially. And I think there's a message here as well of balance as in harmonizing your minds, right? Because we have this 3-headed cool image here, which I would love as a tattoo. I need to connect with Holly. But the balancing of the minds here, right? Like the mind of, let's say, for example, the mind of the present, the mind of the past, the mind of the future, the mind of awareness and what I am aware of, and then the like woo-woo, trusting, like I'm okay with a little mystery. I'm okay with the fact that I'm not going to know everything. Because sometimes, especially in the more like spiritual or esoteric sciences, we go in with it like, I want to know everything about astrology. I want to know everything about this. And it's like, look, it's all a little interpreted in a sense. Like there's all a little like flavor here that goes on through the interpreter. Even if it is astrology, which is of the most, I would say, like a very high discipline to really get into it, you're still kind of retrieving this information from what you see or through the, planetary shifts and all this stuff, but you're still interpreting it through your own experience, right? And where you're at and how much you know about this or that and how much you've witnessed about this or that. So just keep in mind that, like, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to master everything. That comes with practice, that comes with time, that comes with experience. So just don't put too much pressure on yourself. All right, and then our Moon Babies card is the Emperor and structure. So how perfect, the Emperor and the kind of season of the Empress. This is about, like, again, kind of tying these all three together here. I know these aren't oracle cards, but I just kind of wanted to use them here, and then the other tarot 3 here. See what I did there? Harmony, Gaia, yeah. The Emperor here with the structure is kind of like balancing the structure of the experience of learning, knowing that as you're acquiring this new information, or as you're practicing and you're harmonizing between, the, let's say, the analytical mind and the more like I'm okay with mystery mind, it's also about kind of structuring this into your life in a way that is sustainable, but also is purposeful for your own empire, right? And I don't mean that in a like authoritarian sort of way, and I don't mean it in a this is my world like kind of way, or like a strictness of it. I mean that everything you're doing and everything you're adding into your life, into the time that you have, into the precious minutes of the day that we have, like, oh my gosh, I sat down to do this and it was already 6:45 and I was like, shit, I gotta make Bomba dinner. And I'd like, like, time goes so fast. It goes so fast. Our days, many of us are so full, we always wish we had more time and all this stuff. So anyway, not to be a downer about that, but everything you're bringing into your life that you're studying or that you're practicing or that whom you're spending time with for that matter, or the things that you're focused on, they're all building your personal empire. So I'd love for you to consider, I would encourage you here, of course, what resonates, to consider, what do I want to add if I'm looking for a subject, if I'm not yet inspired? What is beneficial to my structure here? What is beneficial to my foundation? What sends out lines of, seeds being planted that one day will be an orchard or a grove? Thank you to whomever told me what an orange grove was. I couldn't think of that word before. But anyway, just like being mindful that this is all part of your empire, and to kind of keep that in mind, of course, with balance as you're learning and practicing and bringing more richness into your life. All right, so then for our Mystic Mondays stack, we first have the Ace of Swords. How perfect. So this is an idea, and this is, love that learn is paired with this. This is your intellect, right? This is an idea coming forth to you. This is something out of the blue. Oh my gosh, I always wanted to do that. Yeah, I loved photography as a kid. I wanted to work with National Geographic as a kid. That's all I wanted to do. Why am I not doing photography now, right? That's like, duh, like I would find so much joy from that, as well as, or anything. Like, this is an aha. This is the point of clarity that is either you're experiencing now or is coming your way very soon in this season. So be on the lookout for that clear inspiration. Okay, and then I'm not going to read these in reverse because I just don't feel like it. Then we have the Fool, okay? So the Fool is the beginning. The Fool is the letting yourself kind of get carried away with that new idea or that thought or that desire or that spark. You could picture like the blade like shining, zing, zing, and following that passion, letting it lead you, letting it guide you. Now, of course, I will just touch on the fact that this was in reverse. Be mindful, remember the Emperor. There's about structure, there's about balance. It's not about necessarily getting lost in the experience and kind of, I don't want to say setting yourself back, because I'm not really of the belief of that, but we kind of can set ourselves back a little bit, or rev the engine too hard and we hit a curb, hit a something. So this isn't about rushing, right? This is about enjoying that time, enjoying the fact that you have this idea, you're inspired, you're learning, you're practicing, you're seeing how this kind of plays out in what you're building in your life from a more broader perspective, right? Not just in the, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen 5 years from now. This is Taurus we're talking about, right? What's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now, right? How you're setting yourself up. So enjoy it, follow it, but don't feel rushed, and be sure you're watching where your foot falls as you take these steps. Okay, and this again was also in reverse, so I'll touch on it, but let's just speak to the Princess of Cups here. This is, or the Page. So for me, this is about a message of emotion, a message of spirituality, a message of fulfillment, like fulfillment of the heart, fulfillment of the soul, of the inner child, of the potential, like feeling in line with what your heart, your soul is asking for, is guiding you. So there's going to be some kind of like beautiful message or correspondence between your idea, your willingness to follow that, carefully, but follow it, in a beautiful way. And this is about, I'd say, if we want to touch on it being reversed, you be the judge here, to not let your emotions or the messages of your emotions sway you too much, where it becomes that you're relying entirely on your emotions and not on your inspired thoughts. Now, I want to clarify that, because I think that it's almost contradictory to some of the things I would just say without, like, how can I say this better? It's contradictory to my, like, point blank school of thought, or the way that I see things. So your emotions are so powerful. They are so important. They're guiding you. They're letting you know, like, I'm moving, in a direction that is in alignment with my soul. I must be out of alignment with what that direction might be, or what that facing that direction, that point might be, because I've been feeling kind of stressed for a long time. I've been feeling a lot of insecurity coming up for a while. This has been a theme. So we can rely on our emotions to, how can I say this, guide us, right? To tell us, like, where we're at on this kind of spectrum of scale here of direction. Am I in line? Am I getting in my own way? But in reverse here, it just feels like there might be something that's coming up for you from an emotional point, that it's almost like, for an example, something you have an attachment to or an expectation of, and therefore, let's say you want this thing, this 25-year thing, and the fact that it's not here right now, makes you feel like stressed or off or frustrated, or questioning yourself, questioning your idea, questioning the journey here. But I would just tell you to be suggest to be patient with yourself, to validate the emotions that you feel that come up, and balance them with your logic here. This is so logical and mental, and this is so intuitive and, like, emotional, right? So it is about balancing those things. And usually I'm the other way around. Usually I'm like, oh yeah, well, don't let your intellect, like, overpower what your heart is asking for. And for some reason in your reading, it's more about, don't let your emotional state influence what you've set your mind to, right? Because emotions are fluid. They are like the tides. They go up and down, right? They pull us, they suck us out, they crash us up on the shore, they'll come back and pull us back out, right? So it's just something to kind of keep in mind of here, that emotions do go up and down. They aren't permanent. So don't necessarily seek immediate, like, emotional fulfillment, if I can put it that way, or what feels fulfilling for you, because it's only going to reinforce that, like, eternal crave. You know what I mean? It's more about bringing awareness to it, but still being able to bring in, your mental power to stick to what this idea is, and this discipline of sorts, right? So, well done. You're doing great. Okay, and then we have pile 3. You chose the Chrysoprase, and this I actually got at a gem fair, so I can't tell you exactly where I got that. It was just a gem fair in Jersey. Okay, so your first card, and let me run down. We have the Trust Your Vibes deck, the Fuzzy Prism Oracle deck, the Moon Babies Tarot deck from Angela Mary Magic, and then on the other side here, we have the Mystic Mondays deck, okay? So your first oracle card, I didn't even look at it. It's not personal. We got this recently as well. This is a great card. This talks about preserving your energy by not taking things personally, right? Oh, that's Bomba drinking water. Oh, somebody cut me off. Why would they do that to me? Listen, like, it's more about them than it is about us, right? So whether someone likes what you like or they don't, or someone, I don't know, is rude to you, or, they have crappy energy and in their moment or whatever it might be, to realize that what is coming out of people has entirely, and I know you've heard this so many times, more to do with them than you. To not take things so personally is the best way to, first of all, focusing on confidence, right? To say, like, hey, like, I'm not going to let you influence me because I know it has nothing to do with me. And I'm not going to take that personally. And therefore, you're not affecting me. You're not affecting my vibration. You're not causing me to form an energetic cord with you if I'm just unbothered about it. It's such a powerful protective, I want to say, space to be in, energy frequency to be in. So that's your message, just like focus on the sovereignty of your energy, focus on, and specifically here, the fact that what other people do or think or say or create is nothing to do with you. It doesn't, and not to take it personal, even if it's directed at you. It will be so preserving of your energy, right? Okay, so then in tandem here, we have acceptance, right? And I think to pair with them, it's not personal. Accept from this, how can I put this? Accept in your state of sovereignty, of focusing on yourself, of being only concerned with what is, I almost said relevant to you, applicable to you, inspiring to you, meaningful to you, right? Beyond, of course, what other people think and all this stuff. And in that state, you get into this beautiful point of accepting what is for you, accepting what is right for you, accepting what is true to you, what is yours, accepting all the things that you're manifesting, because we often, when our energy is in flux, right? We're fluxy base, we're easily influenced creatures, energetic creatures here. And to be able to protect ourselves, not in a way of like I'm weak, but in a way of confidence as a form of protection. What you do then is you confidently focus more on what is meaningful, beautiful, inspiring, etc. to you, the things you want in life, and not distracted by, the fact that you can't control other people, let's say, as an example. And it puts you in a state of receiving all the blessings. Sorry to be corny here, but all the blessings that are coming your way, because there won't be this blocking necessarily that happens. Okay, and then our Angela Mary Magic deck. Oh my gosh, how perfect. We have the 7 of waves, so the 7 of cups here. And the card says abundance. And it has all these like fruits, drink. Lovely. I love this, especially for Taurus season. Super cute. So, by protecting your own energy field and not being bothered by the outside influences, we could say, and I mean that in a, I don't mean that in a let's put our head in the sand sort of way, but like not to if we don't take it personally, it's not disruptive to our energy. We can still do things and create and show up, but we're not dragged down to that level, energetically speaking. It puts you in a state of receiving all that you're talking about here, all that you're focused on, all the things that are like manifested for you, those things you've been wishing for, or aligning yourself to, or preparing yourself for. And then, of course, we have our abundance card here, right? So it's just kind of this message of really protecting yourself through your own confidence and sovereignty and declaration of will, and saying, I'm not going to take that personally. And therefore, it has no tie to you, no cord, no energy vampire sort of thing happening. And through that, you will reach beautiful, abundant states and receptivity. Lovely. I love that for you. Okay, so now we're moving on to our tarot deck here. Ah. Okay, so we have the Seven of Cups again. So I guess, like, did you get it the first time? Did you get it? You're going to have options is really what this means. Options, options, options. What is most right for you? We have the moon, we have a rose, we have a glowing sphere, the sun, we have a cubic crystal formation, we have the third eye, we have a serpent, and we have a heart, right? So I guess we're just needed to repeat because they're literally the same card, that you're going to have all these options is what's coming for you because you're minding your own energy business, basically. And what comes from that? A journey. The Three of Wands, a beginning in a direction. The beginning, it doesn't necessarily have to be a beginning, but the continuation, the development, let's say. The stepping stones, the inspiration, the creative thinking, oh, wow, I have all this stuff now. All these new things are coming my way. What can I build with that? What can I create with that? How can I connect these dots more? How can I bridge, the people that I love into, or the people that inspire me, or my colleagues, so to speak, as an example, or my family or my relationship, and bridge this into what I'm creating here. That might not be for everyone, of course, but it's the step. Like, look, you can just look, right? Like step by step by step, the ascension, the continuation, and it's gonna probably be tied to the fact that you're feeling so many options right now. So our final tarot card for you is the Magician. How cool. I love this card so much. I just love the image in it so much. So the Magician is all about having, for me, having all of the tools at your disposal. Understanding what you need to do to create. And I really feel like there's a type of, forgive the word here, I know it's a little cringy, but like mastery of sorts that really alchemizes in you, really fosters something on another level with you as you practice this. I'm not going to take this personal. That puts you in a position not only of receiving, not only of all these options, not only of this step-by-step kind of development, like continue into the creation of yourself, but you're also in this state of realizing that, oh shit, like I can really create anything. Did you see what was in those cups? Did you see there were 7 of those cups? Like, I can't deny this kind of stuff. Like, I can't deny what showed up for me the second I stopped being affected by things in a sense, or having my energy drained through these kind of nasty little connections that might be formed, these little siphons. And you kind of come into your own power and you're like, dang, like there's more to this than I thought, or I always knew there was so much to this, but now I'm really seeing it. It's showing up in my life more and more and more. So congratulations to you as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little reading for this month. I hope it's not too creepy that we're in my bedroom here. And I just thought it was so appropriate for my sleepy Taurian friends. And, like, can we just lay around in our, like, favorite pajamas all day, like, and get room service? There's this, like, room service is so Taurian to me, like, yeah. I want those eggs bennies like outside the door in the morning. I'm gonna put the robe on, grab the mimosa and the eggs benny, and like get back in bed. Maybe a waffle too. Maybe some waffle with like macerated, is that the word? Berries. Yes. And then I'm gonna nap. So I love it. Happy birthday again, Taureans. I hope you have a beautiful season, and I wish everyone a really beautiful season here. I mean, it is a beautiful season. I mean, here in the northern hemisphere, it's spring. It's this kind of reawakening again to the senses and all this stuff. So how exciting, how cool. Thank you so much for allowing me to share a little piece of your path today, and for being such a significant part of mine. I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm just so grateful for you, for Patreon people, for the people I'm so blessed to take classes with and talk at for a long time. I'm so grateful. I love the connections, and I'm just so grateful. I'm just in that field. So grateful. From the very bottom of my heart, I bow to the divine within you and I look forward to our next connection. All right, much love to you, and namaste.